Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be checking out the X-8 Research Center, which is formerly known as the X-8 Biomechanical Testing Facility, and that name gives us a bit of a hint to some of the experiments that were taking place here. Now, Dr. Borous became heavily involved with the tests that were happening at this facility, even using his own pet dog, Gabe, as a test subject, resulting Gabe being turned into a cyberdog and also being sealed within a cave system connected to the facility. Now, a portion of this research center was turned into a testing area in the form of a pretend American high school, and apparently it's based on Borous' old high school named, conveniently, American High. And the researchers claim this was used for infiltration testing with communists, but was actually used to test the cyberdog's ability to detect infiltrators. Now, the X-8 research facility is located in the far eastern part of the map, a bit south of the think tank, and here, as we approach, there will be several night stalkers outside, and then we can see this large antenna array with X-8 written on it. Now, in this truck, it is worth looting the footlockers and stuff, because I found a lot of ammunition inside of them, so just take note of that. Now, as we come around, we will finally discover the location, and we can make our way inside. Now, inside of the entrance, we can see inside of some windows where operations are going on. Also, we can find some terminals. Now, on these terminals, we can find some interesting things, such as that a terminal refers to Project Burke and Project Hare. This is a reference to Burke and Hare, who were serial killers of the 19th century, and they sold the bodies of their victims as cadavers to human anatomy classes. And obviously within the operation rooms, there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. We have brains and jars and stuff, and it appears that they were making some robo-brains or something like that within these operation rooms. Now, as we go down to our right, we will find some of these Mr. Orderlies, which are a bit tough to fight. And then on this desk, we can find a dog and robot slicing experiment holotape. Now, as you'll see later in the video, you might want to use this holotape to your advantage. I did not, but you can use this to create Roxy, which is a dog companion that will follow you throughout the facility and help you complete the test. However, I didn't make Roxy until after I already finished the test. Now, inside of this room, you cannot access either of the doors yet, so we have to start the first infiltration basic test. Now, within these tests, you have to infiltrate an American high school and recover high schoolers' records. Now, inside of the high school, there are cyber dogs and sentry turrets, and you also have these, like, energy shields, I guess? I don't actually know what they're called, but we cannot disable these energy shields yet without the upgraded sonic emitter, so that kind of controls our path within these tests. Also, if you have Wild Wasteland perk, you will see Wolverines written on the wall here. This is a reference to the 1984 film Red Dawn. Also worth mentioning, Red Dawn was remade in 2012. Red Dawn features the Soviet Union invading the United States, and it takes place in my home state of Colorado, where, ironically, my high school mascot was also, well, a Wolverine. Hey, look at that. Anyways, besides for bizarre coincidences, we can make our way up, and eventually we will find the last terminal. Now, it's worth mentioning these terminals will be randomly chosen every time you take the test. So sometimes they might be the same, sometimes they might be different. They can kind of spawn anywhere throughout the facility. But basically, you just go through, find the terminals, get the students' records, and it's pretty simple. Now, after you've gotten all the records, we'll head back into the observation room, and within the observation room, we can find some interesting things. First, we can find the Cyberdog gun, and you can actually get the schematics later in this facility. Obviously, though, the doctors and the think tank already gave us the Cyberdog gun because I passed the speech checks at the beginning of the game. Now, eventually, we can also find another Easter egg with the Wild Wasteland perk. We find a table of dogs playing poker. This is one of my favorite Easter eggs in all of New Vegas, and above the dogs are the words, "Sit, Stay, Kill." And this actually refers to a series of 16 oil paintings by C.M. Coolidge, which were commissioned in 1903 by Brown and Bigelow to advertise cigars. And this is known now in pop culture just as dogs playing poker paintings. Pretty interesting. And eventually in the observation area, we will make our way to a room filled with terminals after fighting a lot of lobotomites. And next to this terminal, we can find the dog and lobotomite splicing experiment holotape, so make sure you pick up that bad boy for some pretty amusing splicing experiments. After that, we'll head back in and we can now do the residential test. Now, during this test, we actually have to fight Gabe and kill Gabe. Well, you don't have to kill Gabe, I suppose. I suppose you could let him live. But the goal here is we have to find an audio sample of Gabriel's bark, which is in a random digging spot throughout this cave. After you kill Gabe himself, there will be a countdown to his explosion. Now, I didn't know how big this explosion would be, so I was a little bit stressed for time, but don't you worry, as long as you're far enough back, the explosion won't hurt you. Now, during this segment, there is all kinds of amusing dialogue going on between Dr. Borous and Dr. Mobius, so please enjoy that. But I definitely recommend sticking around for the fireworks, even if it is a bit scary. I actually was trying to save the game in order to make sure I didn't die. However, this was a mistake because the countdown in the explosion continued even though I was saving. So after I finished saving, the explosion took place, but it's just like a mini nuke or something, maybe not quite as powerful even. But pretty amusing and pretty funny. After that, we can head back, and there will be all of these robo-scorpions throughout the facility now. Obviously, Dr. Morbius is getting pretty pissed. And after this, we can now try the high school advanced test, where this is a bit more difficult, but honestly, it's pretty repetitive. So we will fast forward most of it, but over here on this terminal, we can get the upgrade for the sonic emitter. This is very important and something you definitely want to get, because now we can disable those energy shields that we talked about earlier. This makes the advanced test pretty easy in my opinion, because you can go anywhere you want within the testing area. So make your way just as before, collecting the student records on the terminals, and then you can finish this part of the test. But after finishing the advanced test, we are not quite finished yet. Actually, we want to make our way across the entire map to the X-13 training facility, because there is still one part of this facility that is inaccessible to us. So after fighting some of Dr. Morbius's Robo-Scorpions, we can fast travel over to X-13. In the entrance of X-13, we can find this energy shield, use the sonic emitter, the upgraded version now, to get rid of it, and in the suitcase, we can find the X-8 Kennel key. We have to have this key in order to finish the quest X-8 data retrieval test. Now, this quest is actually a side quest. The main quest is already finished. We just needed Gabriel's bark, the data tape we got during the fight with Gabe. But for now, we also want to do this to finish this small little side quest. Now, upon opening the kennel, we're going to find these Night Stalkers, so make sure you get rid of them. Now, inside of this kennel, we can obviously find some of these cages that are now empty, and up on this platform above us, this cage actually doesn't have a door, but on this platform above us, we can find the blueprints for the K9000. Pretty freaking good. This is the Cyberdog gun. Now, there's also some ammunition and stuff over here on these crates, so make sure you pick that up because, hey, it's pretty good. And then over on this computer, we want to release the unusual specimen, or other words, releasing the Night Stalkers into the facility. Now, there are still a few items of note in this room. Now, if you want to do it the improper way, like I do, you can jump up on this railing and then jump up on this cave, and we can find the robot and Night Stalker splicing holotape. After this, you can jump up on this upper platform. Normally, you're supposed to come here after finishing the experiment through that door on my left, but we can take these throwing axes, there's some combat armor, along with some ammunition boxes with various ammunition. Again, you can follow my way or do it the proper way, it's up to you. Either way, after that, we can now go complete the basic and advanced test in order to finish the quest. I just wanted to mention, something I haven't talked a lot about though, is throughout these tests, there will be a lot of pretty funny dialogue from Dr. Borous. He talks about the library, he talks about the lack of a cafeteria and how the lack of food is not his problem. And he'll also talk about Richie Marcus and his love for balls on the second level. Obviously, he didn't like Richie Marcus as he was a bit of a high school bully towards Borous. Anyways, go through the test 2 times. It is a little repetitive, but Borous' dialogue makes it all worth it. After finishing all the tests, we can go over towards the terminal, and we can now complete the test, get the test results, and this will complete the quest. And the reward for finishing the quest is the DNA Agent perk, which increases your damage against Night Stalkers by 10%. Now, one last thing we need to cover is on the left side of the facility. Well, there's going to be some of these Mr. Orderlies, so make sure you kill them. But here we can have a lot of fun with splicing. Now, there's 4 things you can splice as long as you got all of the holotapes. The first one we'll splice is the robot and dog. And a little bit unsurprisingly, this is how you create a cyber dog. And the cyber dog we create is Roxy, and Roxy will act as your companion throughout the X-8 facility. Now, Roxy can die, even if you're not on hardcore mode, but if she does die, you can just create a new Roxy. After that, we'll go back to the terminal, clearing the space, and we now will make a lobotomite and a robot. This creates a pretty funny set of dialogue with a robo-brain.
Awake! Alive for the first time ever! What is this strange new world around me? What does it hold in store for a dreamer such as myself?
Now, this robo-brain is actually a reference to the whale from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. And after that, we will try splicing a lobotomite and a dog. However, there's this kind of a very sad ending as the dog dies and the lobotomite is, well, turned into mush. Very, very unfortunate for the dog. Now, the last creation we can make is the Night Stalker and robot, or here it's unusual specimen, the Night Stalker. Anyways, this kind of just creates a very crazy robo-brain. Now, it doesn't show up as an enemy on your map marker. However, it just kind of shoots randomly, and in theory, it could kill you. As you can see here, it hit me, but we'll kill the robo-brain, and that's that. That's all there is to it. Now, you will get a lot of XP for splicing all of these things together, so I highly recommend doing it unless you're like a level 50 like me, then just do it for the entertainment value. Now, below the splicing area, there is this kind of large space that is where all of the equipment is at, but there's really nothing of interest down here for the player character, besides some scrap and junk. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Unexplored Mojave. The X-8 research station was freaking awesome. I had a lot of fun playing through it, and I had a lot of smiles and a lot of laughs. I hope you guys did as well. If you guys have any recommendations for future videos, future locations, please post them in the comment section below, and as always, until next time.